Hello and welcome again to another episode of Bourbon with Friends. I'm Paul and I'm joined by Connor. And today we have I don't know if we're going to say special guest because it's, I don't know. Are you special though? I don't know.
We're all
that
special,
mustache
right?
is special.
That's what
that mustache
that's
is
what matters.
special. For those of you that follow the Instagram page, you have seen TCAP join several lives late at night because he's on the West Coast and I'm usually have a nice buzz by then. I really almost felt like inviting Amanda to this just to like throw it for a loop so it would feel like a live. But what up, Tony?
Keep the gang together. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, dude.
Make it real weird. Like we're gonna make it weird. Like let's make it real weird, right? Like get Amanda on the show and everything. She can't. She's Canadian. So Bourbon Across America would be a total failure if it was
false advertising. Wouldn't work.
Bourbon Across Canada.
Bourbon Across North America just doesn't have the same ring.
No,
that's
the
a
American
point.
flag behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm pretty sure she'd give anything to be an American. I'm pretty sure in her heart she's American, so maybe that counts.
Most people would.
It's like 30 people in Canada. Doesn't count.
30? Yeah, I wish.
Their state animal's a
place.
beaver.
Is it really? You mean?
I think so.
Is it a state
Probably.
animal or is it a country? Is it
Or a country animal, yeah, is a beaver.
country? The official animal of Canada.
Yeah, it's
And their whiskey and their whiskey sucks too. So
sure does.
have you ever had good Canadian whiskey, Tony?
There isn't one. Is there? I haven't had one. I mean, I haven't jumped in. I'm sure they're out there, but I've not jumped
Caribou
in.
Crossing, maybe.
Nope.
No, there's good. There's a certain lot 40 releases that I've had in actually fairly recently that were good, but I haven't had anything else good from Canada. Besides Crown Royal.
Fuck
Yeah.
you. No,
That's
absolutely
it.
not.
That's all you get.
No, absolutely.
All right, I will see myself out. All right.
Yeah, I'm seeing on here on the Zoom. Click, remove.
Oh.
Oh,
And then there were
God.
two.
There goes Connor.
Ah,
What
shit.
the hell?
Oh,
I can't.
I love it.
No.
Crown Royal and Coke was a go-to of mine when I was younger though. Crown Royal and Coke was a go-to of mine when I was younger though.
Tony, I'm in the market for a new co-host. You in?
At least when we were talking about what we were drinking, you didn't pull out a purple bag and be like, "Well, I got the top shelf."
If he would have done that, I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have. I would have been in too much shock. But at that moment, I would have known I was getting screwed with. I would literally have been like, "There is no way this is real life."
I should have done. I'm gonna do that now, Tony. You just gave me a great idea. I'm gonna one of these days. I'm like, yeah, I got the top shelf. Old number 7 is what they call it in the whiskey world, and
And it's right next to the Crown Royale.
the Crown Royale.
Royale.
Yes.
You got to really, you got to do up the classiness.
Yeah. Pinky out when you drink it.
Yeah, 100%.
Pinky out.
The name's Douche. Connor Douche. I drink the Crown Royale.
Royale.
I'm gonna change my Instagram handle that.
This already sounds like an episode of Barstool right now. I'm just letting you
That's
know.
all right. Yeah. Why not?
Connor douche.
Connor Douche. The douche is loose.
The douche. The doucher.
Have you seen Parks and Rec?
No. We've talked. This is like the third show we've talked about, and I've not been into any of them.
Game of Thrones.
I've heard it's great.
Yellowstone.
It is.
I'm very particular.
All right, Tony. Well, tell people about who you are and what you do and all that shit since we can't talk about TV with you.
We can just watch some. We'll talk about some ones that are.
We'll talk about the Andy Griffith Show. All right, there you go. There's something I'm sure you've seen.
We'll talk about like New Girl or some.
Did you?
New Girl.
I'm a fan.
Oh my God.
I'm a fan. I know because listen, Friends was my era, so like it's the Friends, How I Met Your Mother, New Girl like transition.
Zoe Deschanel is one of the best actresses out right now. Okay.
I mean, I want to hang out with Nick. What can I say?
She was great in Elf.
Yeah, and
I'm embarrassed that I know both of you right now.
I'm being sarcastic, Paul. I want you to know.
I'm not. Tremendous actress. No problem saying that.
I respect it.
Tell us your bio, handlebar motherfucker.
The bio is I like drinking bourbon and Irish whiskey. Those are my guys, my favorite go-tos. I coach baseball, and so I have a podcast and I talk about bourbon and baseball. They're fun to talk about while drinking bourbon.
So
yeah,
American.
That's it. Yeah, it's my favorite.
As American as it gets.
That was the most boring bio of anybody that's done Bourbon Across America so far.
I'm so bad about I can't talk about myself. I feel like a total dork. Like it's not. It's I literally that's it. I coach baseball. I have 2 French bulldogs. Yeah, that's about it. That's me. I watch shows that you don't watch.
Like New Girl.
Like New Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Office. Have you ever watched The Office?
Yeah, like 19 times. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched The
All right,
Office.
sure.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
I watch New Girl, I watch The Office, and I watch My 600-Pound Life. Those are the 3.
I haven't gone there yet. Blacklist. I want Blacklist. Love that one.
I got out of Blacklist.
Oh, I love it. Huge fan. Yeah.
Pro tip: if you ever are gonna get into 600-Pound Life, and I haven't, but my dad used to watch it, and I walked in to when he was watching it, and I was eating mashed potatoes, and they were doing a surgery scene, so they were sucking out all this fat, and it looked like mashed potatoes. So the moral of the story is don't eat mashed potatoes while you watch a 600-Pound Life.
And you could probably skip Dr. Pimple Popper for the mashed potatoes as well.
Yeah, you sure can. Don't watch
This show
that.
is already taking a fucked up turn. Like not even remotely on target.
That's
you want me to go back? You want to talk more about me? Would that be helpful?
No, I don't even want to talk about you now, you pasty ass fuck. No, I want you to tell us what got you into whiskey.
I mean, I think like everybody else, like college. Like you start to drink, like Dave's whiskey in a plastic, 2-gallon bottle on the bottom shelf, because it's there and it's cheap and, you're in college. So
that was an actual different answer than what most people said. So,
there it is. Yeah. It started in college. I liked it. It made me feel handsome, and so I drank it. And
wow, you had to be really drunk for you to feel that.
that is so much different than anything anyone has ever said on Bourbon Across America.
What's the common answer? Like, what do people normally say?
College.
The first time I drank whiskey was in college. It was like Jack Daniels or Jim Beam, and I puked, and I can't believe that I went back to it. Meanwhile, Tony over here is like, I got the cheapest bottle and something plastic.
Makes me feel like Derek Zoolander.
I drank it and I was giving Blue Steel to everyone that
walked. Okay, so we go, you go to the cheap stuff, and every once in a while, like you throw in some Jack or Jim, but that was really it. I mean, this was 1999. I was just not into it. I wasn't
gonna party like it's 1999.
Hope you enjoyed your moment. But I, we'd go cheap, and that was it.
It didn't make me feel pretty though, if that's what it meant. Anyway,
not one bit.
I drank whiskey because it made me feel handsome. I still drink whiskey because it makes me feel handsome. So I agree with that.
We all do. And
like I am handsome. I don't need to feel handsome.
But so then my only one I would never go back to was one bad incident was Southern Comfort. In the dorms, I still can't smell it, but that was it. Just drink cheap whiskey, and then you start to get a little bit older and drink a little bit better whiskey. And like Jack and Coke was kind of the go-to standard. And then just kind of started to experiment with some other ones and just started to really like it. And that's kind of how I kind of started to grow my collection and try out some different ones from different areas and like see what this whole thing's all about. But I think I started a little bit later in life, like getting after it. I'm 41 now, so it's only been about maybe 5 years or so that I've been like more into it. So I think I started a little bit later than you folks. But I definitely think that now it's more. I think I enjoy it a little bit more. I definitely got into like the craft beers for a little bit because like I stopped drinking Bud Lights and Coors Lights, whatever, because you drink 700 of them and you're fine. You're just hydrated. And so I started drinking
you got to pee a lot.
Yeah, that's it. But you're healthy. So I drink like, the IPAs, and then I realized after 2 IPAs, I turned into a psychopath. So I'm like, I'm never drinking those again. So now I'm not in on IPAs or any of those things, but that's it.
How how do you think whiskey and baseball actually correlates? Is there a big presence in a clubhouse with whiskey?
It was always kind of like the beer. Beer was always the big one. Like after a
Mhm.
game, I mean, again, you're playing a lot of like hot areas, hot environments. And like after a game, sitting down having a cold beer was always really nice. And I think as a player, that's probably still the go-to, that you're going to sit down and have a cold beer after you just played 9 innings and it's hot and you're sweaty and you just don't want to go get in the shower yet and you sit down and have a cold beer. It's totally understandable. But I think from like a coaching perspective, once the game's over and you're sitting down, you're unwinding and you're kind of going over what, recapping what happened. For me, I'd rather sit down and have a little bit of whiskey and kind of slow myself down, because if I have a beer, it's cold and it goes down a little bit too easy, I'm gonna have another one. And I can kind of slow down and just enjoy the whiskey. So that for me is like why I enjoy the whiskey. And I do know that there's a lot of players throughout the minor leagues that are like getting into it and starting to have more of a social media presence.
Yep.
Because it's available. There a lot of times they're in areas that it's accessible. And there's a lot of good, like especially craft distilleries that guys can go visit in small towns when they're out playing, that with their presence on social media, they get to kind of get the word out. So it really works both ways.
It's interesting you say that, because obviously craft distilleries are starting to take a big turn, up, and a lot of people are starting to really get more into that side of what whiskey is, and not just into some of the big boy players that are out there. The thing that didn't really kind of click, obviously, from the minor league standpoint, you're on the road, you are going to a lot of these small towns, but there's opportunity between games, right? Like you're not like at the field 24/7.
No, the players will like get themselves into their own routine. They'll have like their time that they have to be there by. But for the most part, guys have like their routines. Some of them like to get there early. Some of them like to get there, a little bit later. And some depends on what happened the night before. You have a late night game, go extra innings. You're not going to get there as early the next day because you're drained from the night before. The coaches don't really have that luxury. Like we have to get there early to get. We want to make sure everything's ready for the players. Like the last thing we really ever want is for something that the players need is not ready for them. Or that we're just not prepared. We don't have information ready for them that they need in order to analyze what happened in the game before, or what's been going on like recently, like recent trends, and then also having like data information ready for them to see what we're going to be facing that night and throughout like the upcoming series. So we're still getting there pretty early from a coaching perspective. So it's a late night and fairly early morning. So those off days are definitely, well received when we get the opportunity to get that day off, because that kind of gives us a chance to catch up on things and actually get away from the field for a little bit.
What is your favorite clubhouse whiskey moment?
So it was always kind of a thing. Like all these guys were this past year. I love coffee as well. I like coffee and whiskey. So I could like sit down and walk guys through coffee. So I brought out like my Chemex and French press and AeroPress and all these different things with some beans, and we just made them in different ways. So we did that. And then afterwards we went through the same thing with some whiskey, and I brought a bottle of Eagle Rare, and a lot of guys had like heard of it, but they never had it before. And it's actually pretty accessible here. And then I brought a bottle of the Blue Note Juke Joint. And guys were stoked on it. They really, really enjoyed that. And they're like, where'd you get this? Like, I really want to try this again. But I think once they slow down and like kind of got to enjoy it a little bit and start talking about it, it just brings up more conversations. And then, some guys like, I remember stealing my grandpa's whiskey when I was a little kid and trying to sip. And like, I thought I was going to choke. And then like the stories start coming out, and it leads to a good time. And, you spend so much time together, like in the clubhouse with the other coaches, that when you get a chance to kind of open up a bottle and break it down, like it's a cool like dude moment where you can really just enjoy it. And then also when you have that, like for me, the interest in bourbon, maybe other guys don't have like the same level of interest, but they like it. At least they start talking through it a little bit and like what they're getting out of it. And it makes for a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah. So you mentioned like on off days, you look forward to just, relaxing, not having anything to worry about. What are the bottles that you're reaching for on like a day? You have a day to yourself, you don't have any baseball responsibilities for the most part. What are you reaching for at you know, to like at night that day, what are your go-tos that you're typically drinking?
So I've definitely got in. So it's really funny. When I started my podcast, it was more or less because, like, okay, so no, this is no offense to anybody that has a bourbon podcast by any means, but they're going over bottles that, you know, there was two made in 1943, one signed by Jesus. Like, I'm not getting that bottle. Like, you know what I mean?
You clearly never listened to our show.
But overall, like, there are a lot of bourbon podcasts that are going after some ridiculously like rare bottles that most people are never.
We walk the line of being a bourbon podcast sometimes, right? Like, we don't necessarily always talk whiskey. We sometimes just drink whiskey and talk shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, I think that's what whiskey is, though, right? Like, how often are most people, like your average person, getting together with and talking about, oh, and this is like, we do stuff and we cover that, but shit, like when do people like us get together and drink and not just get together, drink and talk shit?
You're right. Like, if we were all in person, we'd crack open a bottle and be like, oh, I really like this. And then we'd probably talk about die. Something else real quick. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I think that was kind of my thing, was I didn't want to talk about like bottles that I'm never going to get my hands on, or people that I know are never going to get my hands on. It was more about
cool. It's cool to an extent, right? Like, if you have it, you can talk about it, but
sure.
like and to educate the person about the juice, but more people are going to get like freaking Four Roses small batch select than they are Pappy 15.
100%.
Or, you know, some, like you said, some old dusty from 1967.
Yeah. And it's cool. And like, I want to drink it and I want to try it and everything. And I'd love to talk about it. But the majority of people, like, again, your average, like, bourbon fans, they want to know, if I go to a grocery store, like, what can I walk in and buy? That's not garbage. Like, not something on the bottom shelf made of plastic that we drank in Reno in 1999. Like, what's a decent bottle that you can get for a good price? And talk about those. Well, in doing that, I started realizing that with as many guys that I knew that were out on the road in some different areas, now that like kind of boomed up the craft thing and started talking to some of the craft distilleries. So that for me was like what got me into the craft distilleries, was just knowing that we had guys all over the country in all these different areas that are really close to, I mean, a lot of different spots. We had, you know, guys that are playing out in Tennessee and they're 5 minutes away from King's Family Distillery and have no idea it's there. You know, and then they go pick it up and they love it, or Blue Note, or anywhere, anything. But that was kind of my goal, was to talk about like the readily available bottles. And then it turned into like some of the craft distilleries. So for me personally, I like, if I'm going to go with a distillery myself, I tend to gravitate towards Wild Turkey. I love Wild Turkey 101, Russell's Reserve, 10 years, my go-to. Like, that's my favorite every day. I haven't
get
got
Matthew McConaughey on the show, please.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I've heard what we look alike, but I would get the like
you heard fucking wrong.
That's I've seen with somebody else. So like I've tried.
Sorry, I was thinking of Brad Pitt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was one of those actors. But I've tried the 13. I've not got a bottle of it yet. I actually did my first like overnight camping deal the other night to try to get some bottles, and there was some tomfoolery going on that led to not getting exactly what I wanted, but I was very happy with my backup. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna most likely reach towards something from Wild Turkey, like the 101 and the 10-year. I love them. I love Rare Breed. My absolute favorite, I think, of all time was the Master's Keep 17-year bottled in bond. Like, absolutely.
See, that's surprising, because almost universally, you know, I could say that better. Universally, it's weird, right? A lot of people said they didn't like that bottle. Now, I will tell you, have you had one yet?
I've not. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That bottle right there is pretty freaking good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. One is unreal. One is by far the best I've ever had.
Is that toasted? It's toasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the first Wild Turkey toasted barrel. So that is by far the best Master's Keep I've had.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta find that.
I walked into Total Wine. I was just like going to the gym on Saturday morning. I was like, I'm early. Total Wine opens in 3 minutes. Pulled in the parking lot. There was like 8 people out there. Walked in and they had them. They were just handing them out. I was like, good timing today.
I'm in. Yeah.
You know, that's how it's delicious. It's so good.
I really want to try that. The 17 year, I think I liked it because it was super like it still had that wild turkey taste that I feel like is pretty consistent. But it added like a really oaky note that I loved. I just thought it was super unique. I can see where people that aren't fans are like would be kind of off put by that. I loved it. I found it to be really, really good. Yeah.
So before you got into wild turkey, was there something like, how did you get into wild turkey? I guess is a better question. You know, what led you down that path to that's kind of your go-to?
I think it was like trying like different bottles that were always available. And I actually hadn't had 101 until like not that long ago, probably a couple of years. And I had rare breed and I loved rare breed. Yeah. And it was weird because like talking like higher proof, like readily available ones, again, like I know that I'm in the minority on this one, but I really didn't care at first for the Old Forester 1920. I didn't love it. It took me like half the bottle before I really enjoyed it. And I like the 1910 a lot more. I don't know if I'm just gravitating more towards like some of the toasted barrels, but I like the 1920 as I got more into the bottle. So I was like kind of looking for like a higher proof that you could find, because like Elijah Craig, it's just, you don't really find it all the time. And I actually prefer the Larceny barrel proof to the Elijah Craig barrel proof. So when I started getting the rare breed, I'm like, this is super good. And somebody else was like, you've got to try more wild turkey stuff. And I already had the Russell's Reserve 10. I loved that. A couple single barrels, and I loved those. And the 101 for like $19, I'm like, okay, there's my go-to like every day. I mean, that's good stuff. But it kind of it was just that trial and error of figuring out like what's on the shelf. I love Elijah Craig. Larceny's fine, like in terms of readily available stuff. But yeah, but typically it's going to be stuff from Wild Turkey for me.
Have you been to Wild Turkey?
I've never been to any distilleries out that way. I've been to Ireland and done a couple of the Irish whiskey ones out there, but never been to like Kentucky, Louisiana, or Kentucky, Tennessee, and done anything out that way.
So that'll change this year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But again, I do like, it's weird. Like I like some of the stuff from Makers. I don't love like Maker's Mark, but I love some of like the wood finished.
I really like the 101 series.
I like the 101, and I really like the 46 or the casks, not the regular cask strength. Is it the
46 cask strength?
Yeah, the 46 cask strength. Yeah, I really like that. It's
good stuff. Yeah,
but I don't like the regular cask strength. So I don't know, just it's kind of hit or miss, and that's where I think it's fun, because like everybody likes what they like, and it's more, you start to get like it turns into like this just ridiculous state of, you know, bourbon drinking where people are talking about, well, that's not any good. It's like, well, it is good. If I'm drinking it and paying for it, it is good, and I like it. So shut up.
Yeah, it's starting to get that way. I think when everyone first starts in whiskey hunting, you know, you're looking for those super rare things. But now, like, I mean, even now, being into this for so long, you start to migrate away from it because it's not worth the money. You know, I mean, just like what we talked about, early times bottled and bonnet, $27. I'm going to take that over a lot of stuff. I mean, it's delicious. It's 20 and it's 20 and it's a full liter.
I think it's delicious. And again, like, you're not going to go reach up to your best stuff every day. And I actually like, I started finding myself like being guilty of it, where I'm drinking like, you know, have one or two at night, like after my day's over, and, you know, I'm reaching for like $60, $75 bottles. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, those are gonna be gone too quick. You know, I want to find something that's like cheaper, that's available, that if I run out of, I'm going to run over to the grocery store and pick up another one. And I wish that early times bottled and bond was more available, because I think it's the best out there, really.
It's getting easier to find in Kentucky again. The thing I would tell people, that if you travel overseas at all, those duty-free stores, check them out. They're worth it. You might find some stuff. Like every time I go over to England, I stop in duty-free, because I can get a bottle of like rare breed for $30 and take over there. And that's just that. And I'll sip on that bottle for the whole like 5 or 6 days that I'm over. If I don't finish it, I can leave it there, and I'm not feeling completely guilty that I overspent for a bottle of whiskey. So it's really cool in that kind of respect, that you can find that. But I think the number one thing that people need to start doing in the whiskey community, especially the newbies, is like education on what you should and shouldn't spend, because unless people really start realizing the secondary market is a fucking joke, and these bottles are not worth what you're paying for them, it's gonna start hurting. And I think whiskey eventually is going to pay a price at some point with how expensive their bottles are, because something else will be a fad and people will navigate away from whiskey because it's just not approachable for a lot of people. You know, I'm not saying there's not a lot of approachable bottles, but the conception of whiskey is that it's a rich person's spirit, when it really isn't, and it shouldn't be.
And also like ultimately, and I think this is going to be like so not well taken, but like ultimately the like best case scenario, and I don't care who's like again, I don't care like how this comes off, but ultimately like it's bourbon and it's going to be good, and you're going to spend a lot of money and it's going to be good bourbon. And there is probably more of a like shelf appeal of, hey, check out my, Eagle Rare 17, and I bought it for, $800. And at the end of the day, it's good bourbon and it tastes good, but there is a bigger like cool factor of having it on your shelf than there is for most people drinking it. And unless you have like a determined occasion that you're going to drink it for, like, hey, you're having a kid and you're going to drink it when you have a kid, or a wedding, or, something like that. I mean, again, at the end of the day, like, it's going to be really good bourbon, and some people are willing to break the bank for it and to have it on their shelf and may never even open it, unfortunately.
I was gonna say half those people are never gonna open that bottle too. Half the people you see, they have the entire antique collection. None of them are opened. They have every single special release of E.H. Taylor. None of them are opened. And to be honest, to me, I love a good bourbon. Like the Stag Junior behind me, I love it, and I opened it as soon as I got it. Other releases, I love them. But to me, a bourbon or a whiskey in general tastes better if I know I can go down the street and get it again. If I know it's fairly priced and I didn't break the bank on it. If I had spent $250, $300 on a Stag Junior, it would taste the same, but it wouldn't taste as good to me, because it's like, man, I just spent $300 on this. Whereas with a rare breed, I can go and get it for $40, and it's like, is it that much different? Like, it's different, but is it that much different? So a lot of times, like, if you're paying a lot for a bottle, it just doesn't taste as good to me. Unless it's somebody else's bottle and they're just giving you a pour, then it's awesome.
Look, there is expensive whiskey that's good.
For sure.
Like, there is whiskey that,
no doubt.
The thing that I would tell everyone though is, like, go to a bar, and you might spend $30 a pour, but go try it before you buy a bottle or think like, oh, I need, like, I'll be honest, like, I got Kentucky Par as a kind of like a free trial pour, like, try this, and I'm really glad I didn't spend $112 a bottle, because I would have been really pissed off. There's bottles, right? And I'm sure Tony's done it. I'm sure Connor, you've done it, where you've bought an expensive bottle, you've gone home, you've tried it, and you're like, why the fuck did I spend that money on this bottle? There's no reason why I should have done that.
I spent, the first time I bought a Colonel E.H. Taylor, I spent small batch. I spent $80 on it because I just wanted it.
Oh, you suck.
Yep. And listen, I love it. I've got 2 other bottles now that I paid like $40 for, but that first time, 80, I think it was like $79.99. Yeah, 80, right around there. And I was so happy, and I tried, and I was like, this is great, but it's like, shit, $80. I know people are getting this for $40, $45, and that does play a difference in how it tastes.
Correct.
To me.
For sure. Because I've the E.H. Taylor small batch that I've had it's $35, $40, and I love it, and I think it's terrific. And you're going to compare it, I think, to $50, $60, $70 bottles and go, this is really good, like, and really enjoy it. But like you said, if you spend $80 on it, are you happy? I just got a single barrel for $60, and we missed out on, so we went to a like that, saying that overnight thing, and we're waiting, and there was a whole like debacle with people getting numbers a day in advance. But again, it goes back to, and again, I think it's ruining it personally. But these guys were like bringing their wife and their friend over, and they're waiting for 18 hours, and they're going to get 3 B-Tacs at retail. They're going to spend $99 on each of them. They had Handy and Weller. They had everything. Eagle Rare 17 for $99. And the guy's like, I'm going to sell them and make $6,000. He's like, tell me I'm wrong. It's like, I want to, like, you're killing the whiskey thing, but
I would have been like, I would have literally told him, you're a dick. That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
I was like, you suck. Like, you are ruining this for everybody else. And he goes, well, I'm making $6,000. It's like,
You know what I would have said? Get a fucking better job than douchebag.
I know, I get it, but I also think it is driven up by the people who are willing to pay those prices. Like, if people aren't willing to pay for it, like, you're not selling those for that kind of money.
It's a collection of people who suck.
It is. It really is. Like, drink the bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I honestly, I can't really blame people for selling a bottle that much if they know they're going to make that much money on it, because like, if you can sell a bottle and cover your mortgage for the month, like, honestly, how can you pass that up? And it's not something that I think people do all the time, but like, if someone gets a warehouse C in and they pay say $100 for it, $120, and they turn around and sell it for $3,000 or $2,500, and they're paying for Christmas for their kids or something like that. I mean,
I know.
How can you blame them? Like, it's not good for whiskey. Like, it's not good, but at the same time, it's like, how can you blame them for doing shit like that? I know people who do that, and it's like, how can you blame them?
And I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to sell them like that, and I'm not going to buy them like that.
Right.
But if that's your thing, like, hey, again, I'm not going to be a customer of yours. So you're not going to get like an exuberant amount of money from me for that bottle. It's just not worth it for me. Because again, I'm going to go back to, at the end of the day, it's really good bourbon, and I'm just not willing to pay that markup for it when I know how much it costs. It costs you a night of waiting in line. Like, but I got a bottle of Rock Hill Farms for, $53. Super excited for that.
Yes.
Yeah, super excited
that is
for
some
that.
delicious shit. Let me tell you, Rock Hill Farms is unreal.
And when you see people are selling it for a ton more, it's like, I want to drink it. Like, I want to like open it up and drink it and enjoy
because
it.
I think real whiskey people, right? Like the real whiskey people like us, we're not buying a bottle and seeing a dollar sign on it. We're buying a bottle and saying, I want to try that spirit because I know what's in that is worth my time to consume, right? I think that you have I think you have multiple people in the whiskey world. I think you have the people like us who get a bottle because they value what's in it, what you're going to taste, the dedication it took to make that, and how long it took, and how good it's going to be. I think you have people who, on the flip side, are only in it for the money. They're the assholes that only see dollar signs with bottles, right? Like, it's the same thing. I look at them like, I look at them like ticket scalpers, right? Like scalpers.
Same
and then
concept.
I think you have the people in the middle who don't know what they don't know. They think that bottles actually cost, $800, $900, $1,000, and they just need to do it. And the only way to get it is because of that, right? I think that you have those three different people in there, and maybe you throw like a fourth thing in there of just like the uber rich people that don't care what it is. But I think that's more rare than that. But those are kind of the three people in whiskey. And you're right, Tony. Like, we are going to drink the bottle because we love it. We're not going to drink it because of what we're thinking we can get for it or anything like that. You see that bottle on the shelf and it's for MSRP. You're excited because you want to, not only that, but you want to share it with people.
Exactly.
And have an experience around it, right? And that's kind 100%. Of what I think separates a lot of people in the whiskey world, the ones that are seeing good bottles that they want to have an experience around with people, and then the ones that just think that they can sell it.
That's where I buy all my bottles, is because like when I mentioned Stag Junior because when we're recording this, I just got it a few days ago. It's the first time I've ever saw it, and I bought it for $50, and I was I was like blown away. And it's like the first thing I thought was, I can't wait to have a pour with this with my brother, or I can't wait to have this with my friends, and I can't wait to, do this on the podcast and do all these other things. And it's like, that is what whiskey is for. That is like what the experience is for, is in my mind. And I think like people like us to have that experience with like tasting this whiskey that is so rare, so hard to find, so coveted. And it's like, now I get to share this experience. Not only do I get to taste it, but I get to share this experience. And the best part, going back to everything, didn't break the bank on it. But there's those people that are going to see a warehouse C for $3,000 and like just buy it because it's $3,000. My question for both of you guys is, what's the bottle that you've seen in person that was priced so so ridiculously that you just like almost laughed.
I mean, I've had many.
You know what? For some reason around here, the ones that I seem to, I mean, obviously like the Pappies and stuff like that are nobody's gonna buy it, and if they do, like they're going after the sucker for it. But I've seen the Wellers go for quite a bit around here. You know, the Weller 12's going for $500, and the CYPB and single barrel, 12, 13, $1,500. It's like
crazy.
It's insane.
Because here's my other thing, and this is like, okay, this is just the way I think of it is everybody knows Pappy, right? Like everybody knows what Pappy is. So if they see it and they go, hey, that's $4,000, and like I'm gonna buy that because it's $4,000 and never seen it before. But I do feel like Weller, from people who are not like into whiskey, that's not on the same level as the Pappy, as the Van Winkle.
Blanton's is becoming the same way.
Blanton's the same way, right? But like the markup for Blanton's, like, yeah, you might see for $200 or $300.
Let's be honest, allocated whiskey is across the board is starting to become like that.
Yes. But like Weller, I feel like Weller single barrel, like you at least have to be into whiskey to be aware of Weller single barrel and like the rarity that it's not everywhere. You're not just going to walk in and find it. And so to go in and spend $1,500 on it, like I think at that point you are kind of aware that that's tremendously.
But it's not that much. The bottle itself is not worth $1,400 or $1,500.
No.
So it's not that much of a bottle. I don't know. I could just get on a tangent about overpriced whiskey. It's ridiculous. I'd rather go buy a bottle of Old Elk.
Yeah.
They're the Old Elk small batch sour mash that they had that they did like 90 barrels of. I would put it against any Pappy Van Winkle, and you get it for $90.
Yeah.
And I saw once Pappy.
I saw once at a store. This was in Newport, Rhode Island. They were selling a bottle of Sazerac rye for $350. It's the most ridiculous bottle I've ever seen in my entire life.
I can find that. So if I go to Western Kentucky, I can like baby Saz or regular Saz.
Baby Saz.
Oh, baby Saz. I can go find on the shelf for $27.
That's
not.
So can I. Literally right down the road.
I don't think it's that good. I'll be honest with you. I don't think Saz is that good.
It's
great for $22.
Yeah, it's not more. It's not even a $50 bottle of whiskey.
No,
not even. It's a mixer. And I can drink it straight, but I use it.
I think it's better than a mixer, but I don't.
No, you're right. You're right. I regretted that as soon as I said it.
It's not. It's better than a mixer, but it is definitely not crazy like that.
Like I'll give you an example. Like for me personally, like you were mentioning, I love like sharing it with my friends that are into whiskey. I think that's the most fun. Like I can sit here and drink it by myself and be like, shit, like that's good. I dig that. But like I want to bring my friends over that are into it, because again, like I do have my whiskeys that, like, unless I know you're into it, you're probably not gonna try those.
Right. No, I got
you. Go ahead and try some of these. You want to try Bland's, even though you're not really into whiskey, but you've seen it. Like, sure, I'll give you some Bland's. But like again, there's some others. And so I tried some E.H. Taylor barrel proof, and I liked it, and I thought it was good. But I got a bottle in like a Total Wine raffle at $70. And
oh my
again,
God.
Like, for me personally, like I'm not going to flip it. And so people were like, man, you can get a lot of money for that. I'm like, yeah, I could also drink it. And so I'm good with that. But there's a dude that I knew that was dying to find it. And he got me, he sent me a Blanton's Gold and a Blanton straight from the barrel for the barrel proof E.H. Taylor.
I'm won like, that trade.
100%. And again, I can have my friends over that are into it, and we got 3 Blantons, like regular and the gold and the straight from the barrel, and drink them next to each other. You won that
trade.
And that's a blast versus having one bottle that is good. It's a great bottle. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Honestly, one of my favorites. Yeah.
Blanton's Gold is a completely different animal than regular Blanton's. So is SFTV. It's not the same. Right. Totally. Like I think regular Blanton's is way too overhyped. It's a decent bottle. Like I was really into it. I think it's a good starter whiskey. It's not worth $100 or more.
No,
like if you have a store pick, I'll pay like $75 for it, because it is different. It's a different iteration of it. But I mean, what Blanton's is going for now is nuts. But Blanton's Gold is completely different. Like I will always go by, when I go to the UK, I'll always seek out a bottle of that. And look, it's like $140 US, but it's MSRP for over there.
Yeah.
And I'm good with that.
And the other thing too is like, it's just, that's a fun, again, like, I don't care who you are. Like it is fun. We'll call it a flex, but it's fun to like throw it out there and be like, hey, I've got 3 different blends if you want to come over and try them, and like guys that are into whiskey that have never had gold, never had straight from the barrel. It's like, whether it's a flex or it's just fun, or you get to see your friends like enjoy it. Like
that gold bottle is cool as shit to
dude,
see,
it
like,
is
come off the shelf, right? Like that gold horse makes it like, hey, check this out. We're going to drink this tonight.
Yep. Cracking that open with my friend. He's like locked into it. Watching me open it up. I'm like, yep, this is why you do it.
What's your top 3 whiskeys right now?
So I loved the 17-year bottle bond Wild Turkey Master's Keep. Love that one. So my one bottle that I was dying to find, that again, like, I don't know that I even know why I was dying to find it. But I was like infatuated with it, and I'd seen it a couple of places that were like, maybe triple MSRP. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Was the Elijah Craig 18. And I found it at retail. I think it was like $155.
Sweet.
Jumped at it and I loved it. I was so happy with that bottle. That was one that I was ecstatic about. Man, third one, like a higher end type one, or just like a daily.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter.
3 favorites.
I'll tell you right now, truthfully, I love this. This is what I'm drinking right now. Maddie Gladden from Spirits of French Lick. I love this one. I think this is outstanding. I'm a big fan. It's a high rye bourbon, like 35% rye, and it's got like a nice, like dark fruit to it. I'm a big fan. I love Frey Ranch. I used to drink shitty whiskey with the owner of Frey Ranch in college. We went to college together, and I didn't even realize it. And he sent a couple bottles out that were terrific. And they're making all their stuff there, and really like their stuff. And then I think there's a lot from like MGP that, again, whether it's
MGP makes a shit ton of whiskey that people drink and they don't even realize it.
So much.
And there's some really, really good whiskey.
I promise you have drank more MGP whiskey than anything else.
100%. And it's good. Like, I don't care what anybody says. When people go, oh, it's made in Indiana, like, I'm not drinking this. Like, okay, dork, listen, here's the thing. It's still good whiskey.
You loser.
Like, it's really good whiskey.
MGP and Green River.
Yes, dude. It's like, I really like Penelope.
They're doing almost all of that shit.
Yeah. I like Penelope a lot. I think they're making good stuff. I got that one. I got the barrel strength, the single barrel, the rosé. Dude, I love it.
You got all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's delicious.
Good people over there too. Great people over at Penelope.
Michael and Danny are beautiful.
Yeah, great people.
Frey Ranch has an oat an oat whiskey that's really good.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
5 grain.
Oh, I got a indigenous rye from Starlight, and it's ridiculous. And we got a single barrel Old Forester single barrel strength that is.
Those are good.
It's.
I got a store pick. I got a store pick of one of those, and it's delicious.
It's inappropriate how good it is.
It's spicy though. It's one of those that'll put you on your butt when you're not expecting it. You stand up and you're like, oh shit. Like, I should not be drinking 129 proof whiskey all night. This is a bad decision.
Put some hair on your chest.
Quickly.
Yeah, he's got enough hair on his chest. He doesn't need it.
I do.
Anymore.
Yeah, I believe it.
I like I'm trying to think what else is. I mean, I do like Irish whiskeys. I'm a big Irish whiskey fan.
Proper number 12. Yep.
I said this and I openly hate it. And then Conor McGregor scares me, but I don't like it. I love Teeling. Teeling's like I think Teeling's making great stuff. Clonakilty was one that I had on my podcast, and they're making great stuff. But you find this like Irish whiskey is the same thing. Like, a lot of it's getting sourced from like their version of MGP. From, I think Middleton's making a lot of it for everybody, and it's just good. Like, if you like it, drink it.
Yeah. One of my first whiskeys I ever got. Yeah. What? Yeah, it doesn't. One of the first whiskeys I ever got, it was actually given to me because it was already a little bit opened. That I thought was like, holy shit, I have this. Was Bushmills 6.
Yeah.
This day, I don't drink. It's actually at the back of my whiskey cabinet right now. But to this day, it's one of my favorite Irish whiskeys that I've had. And it's not, there's nothing like overly great about it. But a lot of the times with whiskey, it's like I love XYZ whiskey because of where I tried it or the experience I had with it. Because
Yeah,
I have so many whiskey, like Bullet Bourbon is not the best whiskey in the world. It's just not. And I don't even particularly enjoy it that much.
Fans of Yellowstone know what Bullet Bourbon is now.
And they sure do. And that was the whiskey that got me into whiskey. And I just like, I always like, it always catches my eye on the shelf. It always, I always almost gravitate towards it. Someone's like, oh, I got a little bit of Bullet. It's like, shit, I could really go for some Bullet. And that's just because like, when I think of Bullet, I think of getting into whiskey and I think of the excitement I had. So
yeah,
there's a lot of different things that go on. Like the same thing with Bushmill 16. I remember it was the bottle that's like, holy shit, I have a bottle of 16-year Irish whiskey and I didn't pay anything for it. Like, holy crap, this is $100-something bottle, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's nothing in particularly excellent, but it's, I love it because of the memories I associate with it.
If you're at like a just a regular bar, like nothing, like not a good whiskey bar that's got like, some whiskey that you'd really go like, I want that neat, I dig that one. What are you going with? You're going Bullet?
I'll go like Makers. Like that's kind of my default.
Yeah,
like if I so even like when I'm traveling or something like that, and I want something, you can get those small like Makers bottles.
Yeah.
I'll go get a small one like that, and I'll drink that neat because it's sweet. Like it's good, right? It's not one that's gonna put you on your butt.
Yeah, I see. That's where like different palates come into play because I'm a huge weeded bourbon guy. Like you said, I love Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is one of my favorites. I like Larceny Barrel Proof more. But I'm not a big fan of Maker's Mark, which really surprised me. I don't know why. I can't lie to myself. I just don't particularly enjoy it much. Bullet's probably the best one. I had the time of recording this was my sister's 21st birthday this past weekend, and one of the bars by me had a Weller Green label on the shelf, and I was like, I was already like 3 or 4. I was drinking whiskey sours all night. I was like 3 or 4 whiskey sours deep, and I was like, I'll have a neat pour of Weller Special Reserve. Not a great idea, but tasted good. I was surprised that they had that on the shelf. It was like $8 a pour. It was something.
Meanwhile,
ridiculous.
I was at a real bourbon bar when he was doing that.
Yeah, I sent you pictures. I remember, Paul, this is totally off topic. You can cut this if you want. But you sent me a picture of your smoked old fashioned. I was like, is that a White Russian?
I was like, we're not friends anymore.
I thought it was. Dude, I was so twisted. I was like, I had just had.
Connor's gonna come to Lexington one day and just literally just be blown away by the whiskey bars here. Just be like, what the fuck?
One of my favorite bars in the area has like the best whiskey they have is actually probably Bullet. So to answer your question, Tony, probably Bullet for me. If just something quick on the shelf, but go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I never really, I like Bullet. I don't have anything against it. Like I'll drink it, but like, think about when you're on an airplane and it's like maybe some Woodford, maybe like that's, you're hoping for it, but it's like Makers, Jack, Jim, like I like Makers. I mean, I'll drink it. It's not my favorite. Like I said earlier, I like those, like the special edition ones, but I'll drink it. But if I'm going like a standard bar, like I'll probably go Jameson and ginger ale. Everybody's going to have Jameson. Even before just a standard bourbon, just for me personally.
Whiskey sours with Bullet is what I was drinking this weekend, and those hit hard because the Bullet's a higher rye, so you can really taste like that spicy bourbon note, so like a spicy vanilla almost. Really good. That's what if I ever get a whiskey sour, I'm like, make it with Bullet, please.
Yeah, if there's a rye, I'll go an old fashioned with a rye. But
absolutely, yeah. What were you getting with your ryes this weekend, Paul?
I didn't have
your rye, aka White Russians.
Yeah, no, it was. I don't know. We kind of got whatever the house whiskey was with that. It was a whiskey bar, so I wasn't really worried about what the house whiskey was.
Yeah, probably something out of this world.
I'll tell you, one of the best ones I've had recently was Cedar Ridge, out of Iowa. They've got a single malt.
We had them on the we had them on the show last year. Like that was one of the first distilleries we had. They were really good.
Did you have Murphy Quint?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, phenomenal dude. First of all,
yeah.
But they did the Slipknot, and the Slipknot's like, it's not like a cheesy celebrity one. Like it's actually really good. But that single malt to me was incredible. Like I loved that single malt.
Tony.
Yes.
This was fun.
Yeah.
We finally did it.
We finally did it. It finally happened.
It was a good one.
Finally before alive. Finally not alive, I guess, is the way. Give everyone where they can find you on the social medias.
So like my podcast is Barrel Proof Baseball. It's kind of throwing out the barrel proof from whiskey, and there's like a baseball theme to it. I don't know. Good, bad, whatever.
Great name. Great name.
Thanks. Barrel Proof Baseball on Instagram, and then my personal one is 19 TCAP with 2 P's. Twitter, Facebook, all those things just for my own. I don't have any of the other ones, but yeah, YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, all those for the podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. We might have to do this again sometime. Maybe
I'm
we'll
always
have to
down.
do one when we talk about the secondary market, because I feel like that was one we could have gotten on an hour-long tangent about.
Yes, it is.
We could go a long time on that one for sure. I agree.
We definitely could.
Yeah.
We definitely could. Thanks everyone for listening, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world.
Let's go.